Don't get it confused, Matt, but I think two EJs has some pretty strong debuts since our last show. One might be a freshman quarterback leading a Division I football team, while the other, yours truly, here to tell you about it.
The EJ and MR duo is back to catch you up on homecoming football. We've got news on another nationally ranked team, plus...
I'm Michael Mirville here at the Leacourt Center to take a look at a cross-country runner who's actually been around the world. OwlSports Update is live and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome into OwlSports Update. He's Matt Rineer and I'm Erik Jesberger. Temple's new quarterback EJ Warner made his first collegiate start during an old tradition, homecoming weekend.
Temple was a massive underdog in their matchup against the Scarlet Knights. However, the Owls, they didn't seem to get that memo. And it was homecoming weekend for the Owls on a beautiful Saturday afternoon at Lincoln Financial Field. I had the chance to attend this game, and it was a fantastic day for football. Second offensive drive here for the Owls. Quincy Patterson is in at quarterback. He'll keep this one himself, fighting through multiple defenders to punch his way in for the touchdown. 7-0 Temple. Rutgers was quick to respond with a 45-yard field goal by Jude McAdamy to make it a 4-point game. Later on in the second quarter now, EJ Warner in at his first start. He throws it, but the ball is deflected and intercepted by Shaquan Loyal, who takes it 43 yards to the house. Rutgers up 10-7 at half. Early on in the fourth quarter, down by 9, Warner fires over the middle to Jordan Smith, who spins and gets away from the defender and outraces everyone for a 47-yard score. Last chance for the Owls, down by 2 in the fourth. Warner throws, but Adonica Sanders can't hang on through the coverage. Rutgers would run down the clock, and the Scarlet Knights end up escaping from the link with a 16-14 win over the Owls.
He did his job for the most part. We all can get better, you know. We didn't really move the ball like I thought we could have on a consistent basis. Played a lot of snaps in the fourth quarter, which is something that we did not anticipate. We needed to be a lot more complementary from offense to defense that way.
I would say at the end of the day, they did what they were supposed to do. We got some things to work on, but I think Rutgers just took advantage of it at the moment. I just think defense, the whole week, we was on our P's and Q's and everybody got better.
Despite the loss, the Owls showed improvement in all areas of their play. Progression week to week has been a recurring message from Coach Drayton, and Week 3's one-score game against Rutgers showcases a new identity of football on North Broad. 2 weeks after suffering a shutout loss to one of the worst defenses in the nation last season, Temple football took Big Ten Conference Rutgers late into the fourth quarter in a one-score game. An outcome which surprised many watching the game, but was expected from those playing the game.
No, I think this is what the style of play that we want out of our players, and it's becoming the standard, and we're definitely trending in the right direction.
Under a first-year head coach and true freshman quarterback, Temple commanded the first half of play. The Owls offense doubled Rutgers in offensive yards and scored a touchdown in the first quarter in back-to-back games for the first time since 2019. The defense forced 3 and outs on 3 of Rutgers' 5 first-half drives, more than the Owls forced against Duke in their entire game during Week 1.
All week we've been practicing scenarios like that, and I think the defense took advantage of that and applied it to the game.
The game fell onto the Owls' offense. With the game in his hands, Warner completed 2 first downs and got Temple's offense up to their own 41-yard line. However, a late game score for the Owls is what they fell short of in what was a strong Week 3 performance.
There is a lot of great things that we can learn and build from this game, so we're going to take that approach and go back to work.
The Owls are developing a new identity with new names and new faces playing important roles through the first 3 weeks of the season. The talk of Temple tough football has been said, and it will be efforts like Week 3's game against Rutgers that will cement the saying into the team's identity going forward. At 1-2, Temple now prepares for its Week 4 matchup against UMass. Here to talk to us more about it is Inside the Nest reporter Jake Gable. Jake, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, Jake. Looking at Week 3, it showed a lot of promise for the Owls football coming here in the future. What were your overall assessments from the game against Rutgers?
My biggest takeaway from the Rutgers game has to be how Temple's defense played. They didn't allow a single offensive touchdown for Rutgers and held them to just 59 passing yards. If quarterback E.J. Warner doesn't throw that pick six, I think we're talking about a massive upset victory instead of a close loss.
Now, we know Temple has made the change to E.J. Warner at quarterback. However, DeJuan Mathis has been getting some looks at wide receiver. Jake, what do you think of the possibility of him catching passes as opposed to throwing them?
I think this is one of the most intriguing stories in all of college football right now. We're talking about a guy who's getting Week 1 starting quarterback, and then he's getting practice reps 2 weeks later at wide receiver. I think Mathis has all the athletic tools to play wide receiver, but I think it will be a little bit until we see him on the field actually playing.
Jake, looking ahead to this upcoming weekend matchup against UMass, it's the final non-conference game on the season. What do you want to see the Owls fine-tune before facing off against conference opponent Memphis in Week 5?
It has to be the offense. The Owls are bottom 10 in both points per game and yards per game in the nation. I think the switch to quarterback E.J. Warner is going to help, but if you want to help your quarterback, you have to have a strong run game, and the 87 rushing yards per game right now isn't going to cut it. I'm looking for the Owls to establish the run against UMass.
Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for you here today, but thank you so much, Jake, for coming on to the show. The Minutemen are currently 1-2 after their victory over Stony Brook this past Saturday. Kickoff for their game against the Owls is at 2 p.m. You can catch the Owls live at ESPN+, and make sure to follow OwlSports Update live on Twitter for all the in-game updates. Break time. Temple has a nationally ranked team, and I guess that's what happens when you win 7 of your first 8 games to start the season. A field hockey update is on the way when we come back.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. The field hockey team hosted LaSalle Sunday afternoon, riding a 4-game win streak. The Owls in black opened the scoring as Caitlin Amsden buries the rebound for her first goal of the season. When scoring first, the Owls are undefeated this season, so you can imagine where this match is going. LaSalle's offense attack denied by Molly Fry in net for the Owls, one of her 2 saves in the game. Junior Maddie Mulchaney gives Temple a 2-goal cushion, good enough for Fry and the defense as Temple blanks LaSalle, improving to 7-1.
With 7 wins in 8 games, field hockey is off to the program's hottest start in 35 years. They have 27 goals for the year, which is 5 more than they had all of last season. They've had 4 shutouts on the year, which has helped them to their current 5-game winning streak, and the Owls are nationally ranked at number 24 in the country. Temple student-athletes come from all over the world, and each one of them has their own story to tell. Liam Chot is no exception. OwlSports Update's Michael Mirville is live at the Star Complex for more on this World Traveler. I'm Michael.
Thank you, Matt. For sophomore cross-country runner Liam Chot, he's had many different addresses, not just in the United States. His journey from his home continent, Africa, to North Broad was an eventful one.
Liam Chot seemed destined to become a star runner, knowing it had to come from within. Having little choice, Liam relied on himself.
If I want to be successful, I have to push myself. Nobody else can do that for me.
You know, with his work ethic. I mean, he was going to outwork you.
The sophomore runner tragically lost his parents at age 3, bouncing around from Ethiopia to South Sudan and then Uganda, all before he was just 10. But then his older sister, living in Nebraska, adopted him, and he found a new home thousands of miles away.
There was a lot of snow, and an African boy in Uganda does not know anything about snow. So I was just shocked when I came what this white cold thing is.
Despite plans of being a hooper, Chot's running talent shined, blooming into a passion allowing him to focus on his craft as an 8th grader.
He had these NBA dreams like he was going to be the next, LeBron or Kobe.
School in Uganda taught him discipline, a skill he used while claiming 3 straight state titles in Nebraska and being named cross-country Gatorade Athlete of the Year.
He's probably one of Nebraska's greatest runners we've had come through the state.
Although the quiet assassin, as his coaches call him, Grew up on 2 continents, there's only one place he calls home.
Big ups to Nebraska, man. I love Nebraska. It's made me who I am today.
The love for him was amazing here in Nebraska over those 4 years.
But the journey isn't done yet, as Chot has left the great plains of Nebraska for the tight spaces in North Philly.
I love that underdog story. I saw Temple as a small team in North Philadelphia.
This star from Nebraska, and now from Philly, one day has the full intention of going back to the place where it all began in Africa. Liam, along with his teammates, will run next at the 36th annual Roy Gurak Invite in Minneapolis this Friday. Reporting from the Leocourt Center, I'm Michael Mirville. Eric and Matt, back to you.
Thanks, Michael. Let's do a quick recap of scores from this past weekend. We mentioned the LaSalle win earlier, but we can't forget about the other 6-3 win versus Quinnipiac on Friday. Volleyball traveled across town to play in the Penn Invitational, winning 2 of their 3 against Providence and Penn, but falling short to George Washington. In Plymouth meeting, the golf team placed first out of 12 teams in the Cornell and Temple Invitational. Now, we've had some incredible standout players in last week's show, and we've got some more for you here today. It's my favorite part of the week. It's time for the power play.
That's right, Matt. My power play pick this week is field hockey goalie Molly Fry, the senior, posting a 2-save shutout, her 4th of the season against LaSalle this past Sunday. She also has a 75% save percentage on the season and a 7-1 record in that impressive play from the field hockey team this season. She also was August Athlete of the Month here at Temple, and it all starts with a great netminder for the field hockey team to be successful.
I mean, she certainly has been dominant in net to start the year, but for me, though, I want to talk about a player that's been battling in the trenches. I want to highlight Leighton Jordan. The outside linebacker had 2 sacks against Rutgers, which included one that knocked the Scarlet Knights out of field goal range, which gave the offense one last chance to take the lead late in the game. Jordan, he already has 4.5 sacks on the year, good for 5th best in the entire nation.
Now, Matt, offense wins games, but it looks like we got the memo with our power play picks this week that defense wins championships. Could the same be said for the men's soccer team? To see how they fared against their week first conference opponent of the season, we'll see and take a look at the other side of the break. OwlSports Update is back in 90 seconds. We've got some schedules for both basketball teams and some key matchups, starting with the men. It begins with their home opener against Wagner on November 7th. Then it's a Big 5 matchup at home against Villanova on the 11th. Moving ahead, conference play for the Owls begins on December 28th on the road against ECU. It wraps up with the AAC tournament from March 9th to the 12th.
Moving over to the women's side, their home opener will be on November 12th against Georgetown. Temple will then take on an SEC opponent versus Ole Miss on December 21st, and the Owls will start the new year off on the right foot with their first conference game against Memphis. And this all leads to Fort Worth, Texas, with the AAC tournament running from March 6th to March 9th.
The men's soccer team hosted UCF under the lights Saturday night for its first conference match of the season. The Knights in black opened the scoring with 2 goals in the first half. The Owls were outshot 8-5 in the opening 45 minutes of play, and the same could be said for the entire match. Temple goalkeeper Micah Ramirez can't save this boot from Lucas Morrow in the 83rd minute as he gets behind it with the left leg. UCF adds one more tally less than 2 minutes later to put this one-sided affair in the books. Temple shut out for the first time this season, and first time since the Knights did it to them in October of last season. The Owls fall into 2-3-2, 0-1 in conference play.
Student athletes are under a lot of pressure to balance their academics with their athletics, but not many of them have the burden of this while being more than 6,000 miles away from home. OwlSports Update Taylor Hess has more.
The Temple University men's soccer team often recruits international student athletes, but Tessho Kobayashi was halfway around the world in Japan. And like most good things, it took a little luck.
Tessho was playing in a summer league team. We kind of, sort of found him through some contacts, and then obviously our guys were down there playing with him as well. So from that standpoint, they were able to speak about his level and the type of player he was.
After receiving his other offers, Kobayashi ultimately decided his best option was to move about 7,000 miles away to continue his athletic career.
When I first came like 2.5 years ago to come over to US, I couldn't speak English at all. So I have to study a lot compared to other students.
While Tessho feels fortunate to be at Temple, the distance does offer up other struggles that he faces while being an international student.
I can meet my parents' families twice a year, and we talking over FaceTime like one time a week.
Temple University's student body is composed of about 2,000 international students. The men's soccer team houses 11 of them, making it one of Temple's most diverse varsity teams.
A lot of international guys that have preceded some of the players that are here now internationally. Those guys really set a great example. They help them learn the area, the city, the things that they need to know.
Kobayashi has played in 5 of Temple's 6 games this season and has had 1 assist from his midfield position. For OwlSports Update, I'm Taylor Hess.
Beyond our show, OwlSports Update always has more content for Temple fans and our social media handles, including Twitter. This week, a piece from our own Johnny Zawizlak, who looked into the nationally ranked field hockey team, who was off to such an incredible start to this season. You can catch it out at OwlSports Update on Twitter.
Well, Matt, that wraps up our show for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in once again. We hope to see all of you this Saturday at 2 o'clock kickoff as the Owls seek that bounce-back victory against UMass.
For the entire OwlSports Update crew, he's Erik Jesberger. I'm Matt Rineer. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, everyone.